Now, I'm not a great fan of Nigel Farage, and I'm certainly not a fan of British banking. But Farage, if we examine Farage's video yesterday, he gives 3 reasons why he's having banking problems. Reason number 1 is he's suspected of money laundering. That's possible. He mentions China and Ukraine. He doesn't mention Russia. Reason number 2, he says that he's been identified as a politically exposed person, a PEP. This is something that came into EU banking, and he says that post-Brexit it should be removed. The British banks should think again, but the British banks are tied up with the EU and internationally, so I cannot imagine that happening. And thirdly, of course, is the implication that he's been blacklisted, and that he's been blacklisted because he suggests that the banks were invested in avoiding Brexit. They were not Brexiteers, and he is being blamed because they didn't want Brexit and they've got Brexit. That is absurd. Now, I don't want to make a video that in any way exonerates the banks. I think the banks have been behaving appallingly for many years, and they've forgotten their place. They are a service industry, and they need to recognise that they are there to serve the people. They're not there to lord it over us. And there are regulators who can do that job. There are courts that we can be taken to if suspected of wrongdoing. The banks are there to provide a service. If they don't provide the service, then basically they should stop working. More than that, we have bailed out the banks. So we have been helping the banks. So it's not their job to bully the customers. And certainly they do bully the customers. They call up, they leave messages, we can't call them back. So the interfacing with the bank is always on their terms. I have found my bank has started using a system, rather a dodgy system, where they can call my number and leave a message without my phone ringing. And that is very worrying, and it's happened a few times. And each time that it happens, it's the bank that is responsible for it. The bank, of course, denies that it's doing this. But it's strange that other people are not having the same problem. And there is a system which allows somebody to call a phone without the number ringing and to leave a message directly on the messages. And I think if banks are now doing that, that's extremely worrying. As for the politically exposed person thing, this is all about Nigel Farage claiming to be very important. I think there are plenty of other politicians who should be taken out in banking terms long before Farage. I think Farage, again, is up himself. As for the money laundering, I think it's unlikely Farage is a big money launderer. I think it's possible he's been caught in a mess and he's been a little bit too arrogant in trying to explain himself. It's as simple as that. But it is tiresome.